taken. People can whine all the time about Trump's manner and he's rude and he's brash. The Democratic Party has shifted what is acceptable, what is normal in this country. They impeached the President of the United States of America. People forget that this president was impeached. That is a humongous deal. And they impeached him over a phone call that was so innocuous that Trump released the transcript to the general public the next day after he made the phone call. And they still impeached him anyway. There are no norms anymore. And Democrats will have no qualms whatsoever about completely destroying the faith of the American people and the election system if it means a chance at power. They are now all in on this game, and let's not underestimate this. These people are not only lunatics, these people are desperate. And anybody who knows anything about human nature or has looked at history at all knows a desperate person is dangerous. You and I can look at this culture and think the left owns it all. The left doesn't look at it that way. They look at this and think, we don't have the presidency, and now we're down 6-3 on the Supreme Court, and he's about to win again. They will burn this place to the ground if they have to, if it means getting to the result they want. They wouldn't even hesitate.
That's a perfect transition for us into some early footage. You know how people look at exit polls to get a sense of how things are going, Jesse? You can also look on Twitter and just the internet in general to see where the psycho libs are punching people, attacking police, lighting things on fire. It's already starting in D.C. I think we actually have some of that footage. You're starting to see, there you go. Oh, okay. Jesse, we all understand the people that are engaged in the mob violence, that are wearing masks and hoodies to make sure they really can conceal their identities, who show up with what you could consider paramilitary protesters' street accoutrement of, backpacks full of jars or, bags of human feces and jars of urine to throw at police and rocks and bricks and batons. They're all Biden voters. And here they are in D.C. already. This was shared by Andy No's Twitter account. I know it's from the BG on the Scene account originally. And we're seeing exactly what we had anticipated there. You're seeing a little bit more of it. Jesse, maybe they're holding off until they find out whether it's actually a win for Biden. A win for Trump. But there's definitely going to be some mayhem. If Trump wins this thing, these people are not going to say, you know what? We've learned our lesson. Let's just all celebrate this great republic and the peaceful transfer of power. Zero chance that happens. Zero chance.
Well, Buck, you're going to have to forgive me. Maybe it's not the time and place, but this is partially on the GOP, too. Remember, right after that killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, right after, what did Republicans do? They can all do this law and order routine now and back the blue and all this other stuff. Right after that, they were running to the microphone. I think we should change the name of military bases. What we need is a Juneteenth bill. Can we get a Juneteenth bill? We had Tim Scott on the floor of the House trying to pass a federal police reform bill, jumping on that anti-cop bandwagon. And what it did was it gave all the backing in the world for the Democrats to continue to pour gas on this street violence fire. And now these people believe they can do it. And now I'll be honest with you, and I don't get like this often. I'm embarrassed for my country. I am embarrassed that other nations look at us and they look at that crap going on our streets and they think we're weak because of it. And you know what, Buck? We are weak. A nation that's powerful does not, that scene you're looking at right there, in case anybody's wondering, those white pillars in the background, that's the White House. That's where the president and the first lady and their kids, that's where they bed down at night. And we allow that in front of the White House? Every single one of those scumbags should be in a drunk tank right now with a big old egg on their forehead and $1 million bail and looking at 10 plus years in prison. And all this stuff would stop. And somebody foreign who's funding all this, they should be worried about something else. And that's what strong nations do. Instead, our nation, maybe this is the language of the unheard. What a bunch of crap. And now we encourage all this. Now we have businesses that have to board up their business on election night. I think it's disgraceful.
You might have seen it, but they're all unfunny, but one of the late night, Jimmy Kimmel, probably the surliest and least funny of the late night comedians. He had this whole thing about how embarrassed he was for the fact that the country has to board up on election day. And they speak about it in these general terms, like, why are we as America preparing for violence on the streets. And it's not possible to be this stupid. So I have to assume they're this dishonest, and they just won't say out loud what we can all see, which is that the left has a serious problem of, and I really mean this, mental illness that is politically induced in the age of Trump. We joke around about TDS and Trump derangement syndrome, but these people are not normal. They've got real problems. Every time you see the photo array of people in Antifa, every time that happens, you look at them and you go, Biden voters, and not a single surprise on any of these faces. They all look like they're the Joker's henchmen from a Batman video game. And this is the America we live in now. And Joe Biden, for people that are going to say, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will not condemn them, will not call them out by name, and beyond that, will always try to cover for them by saying, well, it's, there was a peaceful protest before. The answer to what percentage of your political movements protest should devolve into looting, anarchy, violence, attacks on police, trying to blind police with lasers, as Democrats were doing all summer. The answer to what percentage isn't 90% that are peaceful, it's 100% that are peaceful. That's the only answer that's acceptable. And Democrats, they abandoned that for months. And I think they're paying the price tonight. I think we're going to find out in Michigan, Wisconsin, yeah, it's the economy, but also it's, people don't want mobs of, lunatic MSNBC watchers marching through their neighborhoods and waking them up in the middle of the night and threatening to burn down their houses because of fascism in America. These people are morons. No one should take them seriously. But that's where we are.
100% right. 100%. I think it's going to come into play huge in this election. All right. We have more from Buck and I and others coming up next.